What happened?
He and I were talking last week about Herman Cain and Ben Carson, and so when I heard I immediately switched to Ben Carson and started giving you a whole Ben Carson because it just is in Adomian's wheelhouse to come in as Ben.
That was
Carson.
James Adomian, everybody. James Adomian.
It is well in his wheelhouse.
We've never had someone come out and just do a dedicated one-off character like that.
No, yeah, I don't know if that's what he wanted to do.
Do you think we could get Bernie Sanders to come out and play Shadowrun with us, or like?
Yeah.
Would there be too much percentage points and APRs?
You could get him to do a lot of things. For example, when I was going on my Ben Carson Herman Cain run, he for about an hour straight was just doing Pat Buchanan to a room of kids who had no idea who the fuck Pat Buchanan was. So much so that afterward I was doing amazing Pat Buchanan impressions to people because I was just copying him.
We've had him on before, and Aaron and I have talked about how like we like his impressions come from a different school of thought spiritually, kind of than the Rich Littles, where you just like figure out how someone talks and then you kind of repeat. I don't know, like he said, he always seems to sympathize with the people that he's mocking. Like he makes you like them, like they're underdogs and they're the heroes of their own stories. Like you don't get that
from a fighting position. A thief never knows he's a thief. He always thinks he's doing good work.
Yeah, and I love that I can just be at a party and like. And just say, hey, Mark Maron, is it okay if I have these chips? And then he does Mark Maron.
Or Eddie Pepitone. My wife is in a vat of blue water. He does the most amazing Eddie Pepitone. To Pepitone. There are Pepitone shows where he'll heckle him as Pepitone.
I one of these days, maybe, I mean, not to be presumptuous, but, you know, the most flattering thing in the world would be for him
have him heckle you as you?
Yeah, you know, like to hear
I'm sure the wheels have already started.
A Dan Harmon impression.
The man does not stop.
You know who did a good one at one point was Abed Gaith, real Abed. He did a pretty good Dan Harmon.
He does. He can do. He physically becomes everybody. He can't do the impressions necessarily, but he can physically become and like do the mannerisms of everybody. It's very shocking.
Abed, yeah. I remember that's like kind of how I got to know him. He was at a party and everyone was gathered around in a circle. It was like you made your way through the circle and everyone was just shouting names at this guy who was like contorting with each name and kind of like was on overload. Looking back on it, that may be how we broke him.
He was already there.
But he was an accountant when he walked into that party. All right. So I'll never forgive you for that because I introduced him as a Republican. I didn't even know what the hell was going on.
I tried to correct him. Once he came in, I was like, "What are you doing?" And he told me. I went, "Oh fuck, I completely." So we tried to rewrite it and get the message.
Oh. Well, that wouldn't have helped. That's exactly the information I had. I just, you know what? I just don't know who these people are.
I'll bite the bullet on all of that. That's my thing.
Who is it? Can we talk about the other guy though? He's a doctor. Like this is a new tradition in the post-Obama Republican world.
There is this effort on the Republican side always, and it will not get. And I shouldn't even say this because I don't want to give them the key to the portal. But they refuse to access. People like us, our age, who are Republicans, and have a sense of how to run the internet, how to promote through the web, how to do other things. They really do run off this hierarchy that the elders know better, and they're consistently out of touch. And I think they've run of these campaigns, they focus on. Right now, it's because of Obama. It's a black thing. They try to find some sort of minority savior.
Trying to find, and then that's where it goes into fear mongering because then they go, okay, what part of the black culture are we going to appeal to?
Yeah, and you look at the way that they gravitated to Herman Cain last time, which was hilarious because this guy. There was no part of that guy that was serious at any point, and yet there was a 6-week period where he was the leading.
He was the guy.
He was the guy. They had all eliminated. Bachman turned out to be a head-spinning freak. But There was a Rick Perry did everything he could to blow it, including that moment where he went to Vermont. They gave him a bottle of maple syrup, and he was tripping balls on pills and booze. Maddow wrote nothing for 2 days. She just played that full tape for 2 days of him kissing a bottle and then gesturing to women in the audience and blowing. It was fucking insane. And so here comes Herman Cain. Keep in mind, at this time when he finally had to go, his dismount was he was giving a speech not about saying goodbye, because he actually never said, I quit. He said, I'm suspending my campaign for the rest of my life. Yeah, but he never. But a person, he's on satellite feed, and somebody's walking by, how you doing, man? And he's like, sitting there staring into space, because it just, everything that he's done and everything that he's got to deal with now, and where do you go when you've got 6 weeks in the spotlight, and now you leave. And he said, a man once asked me if I could be any ice cream, which one would I be? And I said Rocky Road, because it has been a rocky road to the president. This is what he said. And this guy was the leading candidate.
If he opened with that, if that's how we started off, then we would like that guy. Yeah.
But you said something that distracted me back there a ways, a stretch, as the Republicans say, back there as the crow flies yonder. Do you really think that there is? I mean, I know that there is such a thing as the concept of a fiscal Republican that doesn't give a shit about any of this other voodoo that we've come to associate with this tent, but still, don't you think that they've crunched those numbers, because that would be less work for them if they thought that there were so many young people out there that would just answer the call of pragmatism financially? That you implied that maybe you think that there's a tragedy for the Republican Party, that they're hung up on this this other non-economic crap, as if they could somehow get the popular majority in an honest way.
All I can talk to you about is this. My contemporaries, who don't agree with me politically, the ones that I get in serious discussions with, where the argument is not about shutting somebody up, about talking louder than somebody, where it's about the actual mathematics of argument and rhetoric, where if you know something that I don't know, we're going to hash this out until I know what you know. But if you don't, shut the fuck up and take my information and move on. These kinds of arguments,
I just start
which
whining,
are based on logic, which we don't teach. We don't teach in public schools. We don't teach logic. We don't teach civics. So you have kids going to public venues and pissing on walls because they don't realize they own a part of that.
Right.
You have people, saying, I don't hear you, I don't hear you, I don't hear you, because they don't understand that that's not an argument. Mm-hmm. They think that I had an argument with my friend. No, you didn't. You didn't have a discussion about anything.
They've been infantilized. I mean, they've taken
they've been limited in what they've been in terms of how they can see the world.
And
but the ones that I have serious arguments with, those people,
okay,
continue right. They write for Bush. I mean, I have friends who are Democrats who actually wrote for Bush. Because that was a job that they could take. It was the best job that they could take.
And also, there's barely any difference between those jobs.
Okay.
Because you're writing... What? I used to write ads for Coke, but fuck, I can only work for Pepsi. What am I going to do?
No, that's it. But that's literally it.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it's refreshing again. Fuck it. That's always my job.
Vote red.
I was sitting...
Sorry,
Brought to you by Frito-Lay.
But wait. I want to Marcia.
But here's my thing.
Jeff, I want to Marcia finish his thought.
But there,
Jeff, I want to Marcia.
Dan, let Marge finish his thought.
I wouldn't have done the fifth one. I wouldn't have done it. I like
Comedy comes
four.
in fives, man. Comedy comes in fives. No, these people are my friends. They're all over the place. They're my colleagues and everywhere. But they're tapping in now. They got sidetracked by this Tea Party thing. There's this whole neocon thing of creating enemies and creating arguments where there are no arguments because you think that you're populist. is going to vote for you no matter what, and you've got to search out certain areas and own those areas, and it gets it expands and expands and expands. There's a hierarchy that's set up that they bought into. It's been going on since early mid 70s or whatever.
Right.
And it stepped up.
You and I were born into this, so I don't even know.
Yeah, and it stepped up pace when Clinton went in office immediately, where they sort of threw out all of the understanding of how the things, the graces that you allow the president for better or for worse.
They panicked because of cable TV and like.
I don't think it's panic. It's just hunger. They want their power back. They had power for X amount of years. They did everything that they could.
So they just became the other political
Democrats
party because it became like a world where you could get elected by from their perspective,
shenanigans
by lumping everyone in that wants hope and change or whatever the rhetoric is for it. So then they became, ironically, this horrible shadow monster, like that makes the really easy villain because they're constantly lying and then engaged in all kinds of like open-faced hypocrisy. And
they sort of have no choice now but to buy into not the younger minds that have a symbolic resonance for it, because they've gotten burned on that now. There's this woman in South Carolina who was like insane that they put in office. It's just there are like these pockets where they pick young people and say this is our masthead, and then they turn out to be ill qualified.
Well, like these Joe the plumber guys, you mean, or do you mean
any
like actual
any of that? These are actual people running who they shore up and they end up winning, and because they look good on the surface, and then they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to legislate. They don't know how to.
I mean, you can tell that that's what they thought Barack Obama was. I was paying a little bit of attention this last time because it was a long time ago, and I still had something in me that was a little bored and was getting like drawn in because Barack Obama was so charismatic and the other side was so uncharismatic that it actually made politics, although constantly nauseating as always. I refuse to believe in any of it, but the drama of it I really did enjoy because he really was. I really enjoyed watching him in this sort of Nazarene capacity, like just like just like them throwing all this like shit at him and him like. Well, I'm not going to be careful because it's not going to be fun. I'm not going to fucking care at all. Like, what do you mean? Like he was a awesome like ninja Christ figure because he did not resort to, he did not get his like he was diplomatic and gentlemanly and like classy and humorous, and it was fun to watch him win because of his personality. And it was fun to watch the bad guys like get so angry.
Well,
there's so much at stake.
What
for them.
was not fun, at least for me, and is that in the run up to that, he had to run against or within his own party, and at each point that somebody felt challenged by him, there were people turn. I mean, Hillary ran that had that critical. Ohio weekend where she released that red phone ad on Friday, this sort of borderline race baiting ad with the stock footage of a young white girl in a bed and a phone ringing, and,
right?
A mushroom cloud, and then a picture of Bin Laden. Like this is crazy.
Right. Like the implication was that because she's technically literally been in the White House when that phone rings, she won't go like, "Well, fuck, what the fuck?"
But that's the kind of thing. What they're talking about.
Who do you want to pick up that? Well, who do you want to pick up that phone? That little white girl sleeping in the room, a black dude.
Then they find out. Then you find out 2 weeks later that the girl is stock footage from a Lionel train ad or some sort of train ad, or like Amtrak or something, and that the girl as a grown-up doesn't endorse the ad. She actually was working for Obama out of Seattle or someplace in the Northwest.
That's awesome.
But by that time, the Tuesday had run, so that primary had been run, and he'd already lost that state. And there were these little upturns. All the way through, and it's
a horrible. Yeah, what the fuck am I now?
Anyway, but it's
we all agree we're not going to vote in this one.
I mean, I'm not going to say that out loud because there's too many kids listening to me, and I don't want to be part of the problem.
I just think that the Republican resources are gone. They now realize, and it's going to be interesting when it happens, when they start empowering their informed, their educated youth to really take control of that campaign, and the elders stop this sort of shit that we can all see, because even their own constituency now can see this sort of baiting and weirdness that's going on, and the
I checked out
it
was so long ago. It was that big election, and I voted since then. I voted for Obama. I was just like, I never want to be that guy. There's such a terrifying fucking terrorism on it's like this non-vote. It's like, you didn't vote, like you're fucking you AIDS cancer asshole fuckface. So I do turn out because I just want to say I want to be able to go, yeah, I did, and I also don't give a shit. But when I really checked out spiritually and mentally,
the way to do that this time, vote Bernie Sanders.
Right. Well, that's I wish people would vote.
I voted and
vote
I
their conscience. I don't even know if that guy really exists. But I like his style.
You're on the top 1% of the bottom 45%.
He's certainly singing my tune, and there's always one guy early on that's like, "Hey, I'm Mr. Elfman from the trees," and it's like a big joke, and it's like, but we always know at the bottom of it all, it's like for instance, like, oh yeah, God forbid an atheist Jewish socialist become the president, because they'd care more about their country than their church. They'd believe in equality financially, and they'd take their job very seriously. like oh no, the stereotypes associated with these groups. A Jewish atheist, oh God. But I don't know if that guy is. I don't know what James was making up. I don't know if that guy exists or not.
Yeah, he does.
He's real.
What blows my mind, like my father is a conservative, and we don't really talk politics, but he's not a dummy. He's not a Rush Limbaugh lunatic. You know, like as far as I'm concerned, when people are party lined right wingers. Also, I don't like liberals much either. I don't really like any of it. There's no good politics for me. The idea that anybody thinks that they know how everybody else ought to operate is fucking insanity or dim-witted. So I think it's foolish to say like all conservatives are out of their mind, or all liberals are just a bunch of fucking dickheads, and but that's how people think. And the idea that there's these two polar opposites duking it out in a ring is nuts. They're so close to each other ideologically, and then we create stupid things to argue about that really have nothing to do with anything. We make a big argument, and the right wing right now seems to have made, as somebody said, a constituency out of crazy. And there's a huge amount of crazy people that will vote for crazy shit.
Do you think it'll be different?
I was just to finish my point. I was at Seattle Tacoma Airport today at the Anthony's Fish Place having a Bloody Mary before I got my plane. And I was reading my book, and there was a guy next to me, and I put it on my Instagram, a little video of him. He was burping and farting and grunting and just making every goddamn. He's farting all over me, and then but just like I said, and also bar tapping, which is my least favorite thing. And this guy was like 55, maybe 58-ish. And bar tappers drive me up the fucking tree. And he was a one-man band of just bumming me out. And I finally moved a stool over when he finally farted a fog around me and my Bloody Mary, and I moved around. I moved a seat away. And I don't think he liked that much. Then he kind of was engaging everybody, like, oh, you got a Boston shirt on. He had a southern accent, and he really did sound like it. So you got a Boston shirt. So what do you think about that Tom Brady verdict and blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, I don't really, I'm a Boston fan. I thought it was fair, but, the guy's like, hey, bartender, I got to get out of here. And the bartender closed him out. And he announced to the bartender, I'll do it as loud as he did it. And the bartender was 2.5 feet from him. And he announced this for the room, Harmontown, you would all have heard this at the bar. And there's music playing, and it's an airport. And there's a band playing over there. And he goes, well, I don't like y'all's politics, but them oysters was delicious. And I'm sitting right next to him like, you
a political mastermind.
Yeah. And so the bartender, without a beat, and I don't know that he was gay, but he had that kind of like polish to him that maybe he was. He wasn't like a gruff jockey, never going to be gay guy. He goes, jocks can't be gay, right? You can't be gay if you're in sports. You guys know that? But he goes, what politics are those? And this guy's like, maybe early 40s. And he goes, I just mean, around here. It's like, around where? And the guy's like, he goes, do you mean like in Seattle? Well, you guys, and he's like, what's your point? And he goes, oh no, just give me. And he signs a bill and leaves the guy $100 bill.
Because he really just meant the oysters were good.
Yeah.
They were that good.
He wasn't going to stand around Seattle and not leave a parting shot and say, like, you guys are all a bunch of, like, women-loving, fag-kissing, fucking bunch of weirdos.
Rootin' tootin'.
Yeah.
Or the opposite of rootin'
No,
tootin'.
you guys never rooted or tooted.
No, I'm rootin' tootin'.
Yes.
You guys are Vladimir Putin. Right, buddy? You know what I'm talking about. Anatoly knows what I'm talking about.
Exactly what he's talking about.
That's a little inside joke for our Russian friend.
But the thing is, like, what bummed me out is like we can't just go around hating 50% or whatever the populace of people or the voters are. Like we can't all be right and we can't all be wrong. It's like it's just the idea that we've been polarized into two.
Yeah, it's silly. And they know that. We've been barking that at them for 3 years of this podcast, and you and I have been barking it since we were their age. But what I wonder is, now that the country is arguably in jeopardy, or maybe because it's been arguably it's been supposedly in jeopardy since way before I was born. I mean, it was in jeopardy because we were fighting Anatoly's grandparents. And it turns out that was a fucking Wizard of Oz, if there ever was one.
If ever there was a wizard,
there's always it's like, oh God, the Chinese are buying everything. The Japanese, we owe the France so much money. Like so I can't tell. I feel like because I'm 42, I kind of get the sense that actually we are crumbling now. But maybe that's just like, but if we are maybe will we now see 3 political parties? Maybe 4? Like major ones, like big ones?
Yeah, like
because there's maybe 4 ways to think about the future?
How about 50 and 70 like other countries like that have like high,
or like the history of our
IQs,
country when we were forming it, and there were like 1,000 ways to commit treason against the British crown, and there were like a lot of fucking ways to think about it. Now it's just like, isn't it just a sign of absolute luxury that we've gone into like, are you a lefty or a righty? Are we just sort of sucking our thumb and kind of like?
I think the main thing for me is just on a style standpoint. If you just look at America in terms of like if it was a person that would you want to hang out with that person? The answer is fucking no way. You would never hang out with America at a party. You would fucking absolutely be hanging out in fucking like Norway. Your friends would be other people.
But I'm kind of fascinated with this concept because it all depends on whether you're inside or outside this black box. So, like if you're inside of it, my new thing is I just call it King's Landing. Like, it's kind of cool in here unless you're like super poor. So you see they go on a little tour through King's Landing, and there's a lot of people going like, my arm hurts. Whore, bastard. Like they're on the edge and they're on the verge, but like there's we're hanging out and we're like trying. I don't know. There's a concept inside the box called America that everything could be super cool, but if you zoom out and look at its relationship with the planet, then definitely you don't want to hang out with that guy at a party.
It's a guy with a baseball hat on backwards and a tribal tattoo.
Yeah, and but he won't even be nailed down about that. If you go up to him and say, "Hey, I noticed your baseball cap and your tribal tattoo. I take that to mean you'd like a Coors." He might go, "Fuck you, you jerk, you broke ass piece of shit, piece of shit." And you'd be like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm fancy. I'm backwards cap, tribal tattoo, fancy pants." Wait, but I thought you don't get paid to think, Germany. Keep making my Volkswagens, brah.
Yeah, you wouldn't hang out with that guy.
No, you would not hang out with that guy. There's
because America, if America went to out for the evening, America would not go to the opera or to the theater or to
I like this game.
It would absolutely be in the second row of a UFC fight. That's where America is.
I think that's too simple. That's too that kind of thinking is what gets people like George Bush elected if he can convince you he's from Texas. You know, it's like, oh, we're just simple folk. We just like populism and like popular stuff, and if it makes sense, like crushing a bro with a brew, or sometimes the other way around. But
or pissing shit.
There's a scheming like there's an underhandedness to it too. There's all this snootery and charcuterie.
Glad and pootery.
We're nouveau riche, and we're a trailer park beach.
We're the end of the Roman Republic. It's exactly ancient Rome, man.
I mean, let's not root for it. I live in a big house on a big hill. I'm just keep hoping it's steep enough. Every time I climb it, and I'm out of breath. I hope the same thing is happening to poor people right now. Because if I keep getting fatter and they keep getting thinner, this is going to make a fun climb for them. And I'm going to be halfway up, like eating a cheeseburger.
No, the poor people in America are pretty fat, too.
Right. So that's a good sign. And the two parties. The fact that everyone's a big fat baby that's going like, are you this or are you that, means that things haven't even begun to go down yet. That's my question, is like, shit's gonna go down. And I'm not one of these people that's like loves like panicking everybody. I'm just when people talk about like super volcanoes and avian flu and Ebola and like or even of like political like panic buttons and stuff like that, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you really think that is the thing that's gonna happen? Like if tomorrow the dollar was worth a penny instead of $1, which isn't that big a difference. If tomorrow you woke up and the dollar was worth a penny, you'd have about 6 hours before your week would be different. You would be like shit would be immediately all over everybody would everything would be fucked up. 6 hours and you'd be like you wouldn't be able to call people things would be Armageddon, just because we'd think it was Armageddon, because what the fuck is the dollar except our gift certificate to ourselves for an ice cream we're never gonna get. And as soon as it says we lick it and there's no ice cream flavor on it, we're going to flip a shit bird, if that's an expression.
Over the last 4 minutes, you've coined some doozies.
Well, you better start making up new languages now, because each sector's going to have their own.
I'll tell you.
You're not going to go in the free fire zone. They're all going to be speaking an amalgam of Chinese and Mexican. That means I'm holding a thermonuclear hand grenade.
You've got me terrified, and I'm a pretty easygoing guy. You've got me terrified the moment a dollar is worth a penny that people will start crushing bros with brews.
Right now we crush brews with bros.
Right.
That can flip like the magnetic polarity of the Earth. Like, imagine a world where you crush bros.
Apparently we can start pissing as shit. So
yeah. I don't know. What is it with me tonight?